Hey everyone, this is Cindy. This is an open door. It is Monday, February 3rd, 2025. We're in the hour that we have entitled Where the Rubber Meets the Road. And it's where we take an idea from A Course in Miracles and we look at how it works in our day-to-day life. And I will state, since I will state that Cindy is in an experience that's been going on for a number of days. And so there's this out of sync feeling. And part of what is happening is my memory is being affected in all sorts of cool, interesting ways. Um, Thinking that I've done something and then the world changes and I didn't do it. Yesterday I was with my daughter and I couldn't remember I wanted to say to her, we need to remove the license plate from the soul and return it to the DMV. And I couldn't remember DMV and I couldn't remember license plate. And there's no fear around that. There's just an understanding that the world is shifting and the insides are changing. And Regina talks about it, and maybe that's why there's no fear. She went through a period. There was one day she couldn't, for the life of her, remember how to put gas in her car. And she just looked at the whole experience of not remembering how to put gas in her car, and she just started laughing. And so as we go through this practice, changes take place, and in the changing, sometimes we forget the basics. And there's some of that happening here. So I am going to ask for your patience and your willingness to laugh with me if things like I thought I put, today's lesson in the email, and I guess I didn't. And I can also tell you, when I sat down relative to what I wanted to share today, I found myself writing. So I am going to follow a script. I almost never do that. But maybe it's perhaps because I'm creating a new experience with words that my highest self decided that I should write some things down. So we're going to begin with the song. I've set it up. It tells me here the name of the song is Trust in You. It's Lauren Daigle. It's in my Open Door playlist, at least I think it is, YouTube playlist. And then, so I'm going to put it on pause, and Barbie's going to make sure that I hit record again because she's very good at that. And we'll continue after the song. And we are recording. Okay. Got my notes. This weekend, Sunday, is when this started. So that was just yesterday. I had this experience over the past week, and I'm writing all this in the contemplations. So if anyone wants to read about my process, every single day I write what's going on, and then I go into a dyad, and then there's a response, right, which is extraordinary. So what hit me on Sunday, um, over the past just week, four different gentlemen. None of this has anything to do with romance or friendship. They're all friends, but there were four different gentlemen, none of which are part of this community, that had reached out to me wanting to have a conversation, a joining, a discussing their lives and what was going on, asking for help in various ways. And each one of them canceled at the last minute or didn't respond or just disappeared. Sunday morning, I was supposed to be in conversation with somebody at 7 a.m. He's in an island somewhere off of Spain or something. And I got the message at 5:30 in the morning that he couldn't. And that That was the first time I realized, oh, this is a pattern, like a right here, right now pattern. And at that point, it was just a little bit of a contraction. Um, it was a huge pattern in my romantic experiences, in my intimate relationships of the men I was in relationship just creating plans and then just not showing up. It was a huge pattern. Um, and I didn't know that there was any of it here until I brought it to that writing. And again, I'm not going to write. You could read. It's all in the blog now. Um, but I placed it on the altar, went into the dyad, and then I wrote afterwards. And there's a question that came up that I never heard myself ask before. Um, and it showed up in my writing in two different ways. I wrote it down so that I'd get it the way it was written. The first way was, by what authority can anything seen as outside of me affect the peace expressed as me when the world is still? And I'm going to say that again because it feels really good. By what authority can anything seen as outside of me affect the peace expressed as me? And I capital that word me the second time, when the world is still. And then a little while later in the writing are the words, by whose authority is Cindy's peace disturbed? So after that writing and that whole experience, there was a recognition that a topic for today um, was to be chosen. And here is what I did. I held my purple book like this, placed it on the table, and let go. And it actually stood still for a minute, like didn't open. I watched it like in slow motion open up, starting to cry. My body is starting to cry. And here's what I read, and I'm going to read it very slowly. Lesson 245. And again, it's scripted what I'm doing here. It says read slowly. Your peace is with me, Father. I am safe. Your peace surrounds me, Father. Where I go, your peace goes there with me. It sheds its light on everyone I meet. I bring it to the desolate and the lonely and afraid. I give your peace to those who suffer pain or grieve for loss or think they are bereft of hope and happiness. Send me to them, my Father. Let me bring your peace with me, or I would save your Son, as is your will, that I may come to recognize myself. And so we go in peace to all the world. We give the message that we have received, and thus we come to hear the voice of God, who speaks to us as we relate his word, whose love we recognize because we share the word that he has given unto us. And then I texted, there's a few people here who always want to know as soon as I know, and I sent them a text. And then I went to attempt to write that email, and there was a disturbance here, and so I went and did my yoga and went back, and I thought I told everybody what the message was. Apologize for not doing that. And then this morning, I sat to see if I knew what I was going to share here, and here and all this came through. So it said to read the message and then to read the lesson. And then I was watching myself write this. The message is clear. The message is clear. Expectations of others to behave a certain way will always result in some version of contraction. says it's flowing. I don't know what that means. But I wish Chuck was here because Chuck has been teaching me that for years. You know, whenever we expect anyone or anything out there to behave a certain way so that I can be okay here, I am going to be disappointed. It goes on. There, expectations of others to behave a certain way will always result in some version of contraction. It's flowing, believing attention that I need to go outside of self to be okay. God is always here. The peace of God is always here. And when we choose to trust in that, and there's chills here now. When we choose to trust in that, we become in service to that lesson, right? Which means that those aspects or beings or dream characters seemingly suffering that show up on our doorstep are attracted by God's peace, the peace we are choosing in every moment to embody and express, because it's always here. And those moments where we notice we are being affected by their behavior, which always comes from clinging to an identification as other than God, is a signal to us to turn back into the peace of God that always surrounds. And as we soften, we allow for the wounded pieces here to heal. It becomes a cycle of healing and growth, and it becomes easier and easier the more we practice. And so it is. Amen. And I've recently learned that the Aramaic definition, when you translate the word amen from Aramaic, it means sealed in faith, trust, and truth. In other words, the more we say yes to this work, the more we are allowing the peace of God that always surrounds us to fill us and hold us. And the more we do that, the more God uses us. And what happens is those who are suffering show up on our doorstep. We're asking for that, right? I bring it to the it sheds its light on everyone I meet. I bring it to the desolate and lonely and afraid. I give your peace to those who suffer pain or grieve for loss or think they are bereft of hope and happiness. Send me to them. So I'm saying to whatever you want to call consciousness, God, the Holy Spirit, whatever you want to call it, I'm saying, here I am, Lord, use me, right? And in that case, what happens, I don't do anything. I become this embodiment and expression of peace. They show up on my doorstep, and then they turn around and do something that pisses me off or makes me feel less than or afraid. At which point I was like, oh, here's a wounded place within Cindy who is not in this moment trusting the peace of God. So what a beautiful opportunity to rest back in the peace of God that always surrounds me. And as I dedicate my life in service to the peace of God, I am healed by the peace of God. And that is all he wrote. David.
Well, first of all, excuse me, repeat the first sentence that you read, where you give, I can't remember what it was, not the reading, but your own words. And you talked about with reacting with others, or what I understood was you said, you put things out to others, and they reject what you put out, or perhaps they accept what you put out. Did I get that right?
Well, the first thing I wrote relative to what's in my contemplation, which you can read on the blog. By what authority can anything seen as outside of me affect the peace expressed as me when the world is still?
No,
So,
okay. So, all right. So anyway, like, oh, so I will, put things out to others. I think maybe I try to control others, maybe. And so then they'll either reject what I have to say, okay, well, or not accept it, or if they do accept it, then I feel like what I receive back from them is what I just put out. In other words, I'm not getting anything from them other than a reverberation or an echo of what I just told them. And that's very lonely. I mean, it's a very lonely feeling when I say, do this and say this and feel that. And they go, okay, I'm going to do that. And I go, it feels wrong to me for me to do that, even if they accept it and and regurgitate it back, because they're not telling me anything other than what I told them to tell me, and that just seems the wrong way to be. And so I do that all the time. I mean, but I didn't realize that it was kind of a hollow victory, even if I would consider it a victory, and I think I do when I try to control others. Look, I got them to do what I wanted to do, but it just doesn't ring true. It doesn't ring real. And so, thank you for saying what you had to say, because this is what I'm learning from what you're teaching today, and it's a good thing. So, thank you
all
very
right.
much.
So let me just say something before I hand it over to Andrew. And I'm gonna read this. Maybe this is the part you wanted me to read. Expectations of others to behave a certain way will always result in some version of attraction, contraction. It's flowing, believing attention that I need to go outside of self to be okay.
Yeah, okay, that's it.
And what this lesson, how this lesson is here for me, and actually it's totally in alignment with what I'm learning from the guides, is that what I'm being asked to do from consciousness is literally raise my vibration and allow the peace of God to express in me and as me. There's no egoic attachment to that. And the more I raise in vibration, the more I allow the part of the cell to do whatever it wants to do through me. It will attract those that the higher self will want to heal here. It has
Mhm.
nothing to do with Cindy other than she's holding the space to allow that energy to flow through her. Right. So and then in those moments, like you said, and it happened yesterday, right? When I'm like, damn, this doesn't feel good. They're rejecting me. They have me show up and I'm setting my schedule and I'm saying yes to them, and then they're treating me like I don't matter. That's part of this energy that's healing here. When that stuff comes up, what I'm being told is, oh, I'm looking at the world to tell me I'm okay. And all it's done is take these old wounds and bring them up. And then I can rest back into the peace of God that isn't just flowing through me for others, but is available for me as well when I rest back into it. And
Yeah,
so, as I'm making myself available to God or the divine for this work, it is also healing the broken parts inside of me.
yeah. So I'm not the what I was referring to. I'm not giving when I'm telling. I'm I'm really taking. But if I'm really giving, then people are going to know that, and they're going to accept that, even if they don't. If it doesn't isn't it something that works for them, it's still a gift, and I've given and if it doesn't work for them, or if that's okay. But if I'm trying to control them and trying to get them to feed me back what I wanted them to tell me by me telling them what to tell me, then that's just selfish and taking. And like I said, it's a hollow victory. Even if they do it, it doesn't feel good because I did it for all the wrong reasons.
Well, it's being done for reasons that don't serve your higher power. I'd rather put it
Yeah.
that
Okay.
because there's no guilt or shame in the behavior ever. It's just not useful.
Okay. All right. I can live with that.
Hey, Andrew.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, at first I thought, well, it sounds like we're giving our power away when we lose our inner peace by dealing with someone uh, in our outside of us. But after listening a little bit more to the comments, I realized that really everything outside of us, excuse me, is a projection of what we don't want in us, because we are everything. Everything we see is part of our us, because all is thought, and uh, you know everything we see is our own thoughts. So now I'm rethinking that it's not really giving our power away to someone else. It's an inner conflict with ego. If the ego is separate from this, if ego is thought of as a separated mind from the mind of Christ, every ego that there is actually part of our own mind. So we're all the egos. I hope I'm making sense. I'm just reminded of something that I'm going through right now. My wife's been in pain for many years. She's had spine surgery. She's fused from L1 to S10, but she has a lot of pain still. She's had injections in her back. She takes naproxen every day, and sometimes naproxen and acetaminophen. And I wish I could help her, but I can't. She she doesn't follow A Course of Miracles. Not that I'm saying that would make a difference. It might help her find inner peace, certainly, like it's helped me. But uh, it's just I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm thinking about getting CBD for her. I think I could buy it over the counter, see if that helps. But that's totally off the subject. Yeah, I think I found inner peace through practicing the course, and I can hold on to it when things that are seeming outside the world I find disturbing. I can always I could always find the inner peace again just by remembering uh, how to get it, because that's what I do. That's my practice. I hope somebody could benefit from that. Thank you. That's all I've
Well,
got.
I am benefiting from it. And there's a line that I read a lot from the guides um, that you're sharing reminded me of, and it's just a simple pointing. If God is everything, then what is it exactly that you're holding outside of that?
That's true. That's true.
William, you ready? I'm so proud of myself. You ready for this? Something is happening. This is it. Everything else is story. And not only that, I said, I even remembered the book you quoted, and I said, I'm going to get that book. And then I went to buy it on Amazon, and Amazon was kind enough to tell me I already had it on my Kindle. So that now, have I read it yet? No, but I was so excited to tell you all of that.
Well, okay, I got three things. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Because when I first came across her years ago, Alana Kinate, she had an experience of mushrooms back in the early 90s and spent 8 years trying to recapture it, study whatever, whatever. And finally in 2008, 9, 10, found it. And then that's the liberation unleashed. That her question was, am I in charge? Who's in charge? Who's in charge? And finally let go and saw who's actually in charge. So I've heard her, listen to her, just, and she gives it away. Liberation Unleashed. So nice. Okay, that's that. Then let me just say a couple of things. I got, boy, uh, um, Andrew, my wife just had 13 vertebrae fused and 2 hips replaced and so forth and so forth and so forth. And talk about feeling helpless and not frustrated. Just, it's just opened my heart up so much more and more and more and more. Sometimes when she's sleeping, I'll just stand over like this. It's just enveloping her with, I just, I can almost feel it as I'm saying it. So I can't do anything about that pain. I've exposed her to all kinds of things. I drag her this, that, pain management groups, you name it. She reads, course, all of it. But what I see is that it's still her journey somehow. And sometimes my words get in the way. And what's that's great feedback? It's like, Bill, thanks, but no thanks. It's like, I know you care, but that's not helpful or useful. The third thing is that you talk about the rejection of those 4 guys. See, I see that over and over. I look at it as I get upset easily, and I love turning that around too. I set up life, I set up people, I set them up so that I project on them, just like David was saying. They wind up making me, quote, feel rejected. Oh, how many times have I felt rejected in small? And then what I see is just really, I'm just rejecting the hell out of myself. And so now I go and, oh, here's another. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I get another rejection. Oh, I did that wrong too. Okay, thank you, thank you, thank you. It's like, yeah, I go inside to that silence, but I could even see that I make silence into another object. And it's beyond that silence. It's beyond, beyond. So I just find I love that I'm trying to make the life do the heavy lifting for me when all I've just done is create an imaginary task. They don't know it, but so many people I've got to build me up. Oh, I feel so wonderful, wonderful. And then boom, where'd they go? What did I do wrong? So I just see this. And what helps me so much is just over and over, I get to see this just thought, more thoughts, more thoughts, more thoughts, more thoughts. And I just feel the present. And then it's back and forth. And what I really see is that I don't have to stay in this space of a no thought. Just it's a wake up. I get to play in the world of thoughts, but more and more, they're just thought. They're just thought. They're just thoughts. So I see that kind of dance going on. And so right now, I want to stop talking because I'm just making up a whole bunch more words. And but thanks for listening anyway. It's nice.
Thank you. As you were speaking, I was just coming back into the experience being had here anyway during the last reality check meeting, which was extraordinary. And Helen Hamilton, we were looking at And I did notice that Sandra wasn't in that meeting. I missed her. And others, but um, I don't think Richard was there either because I remember quoting him and not seeing him. But who knows? I'm making things up. Anyway, she was just talking about everything is that early on in her practice, she thought she was a body and needed to interact with other bodies. Then she went through this stage of only believing in the formless, and as long as she was meditating all the time, um, she was fine, but her life was still a mess. And then she saw that she was separating the form from the formless, and that was no longer necessary. It was everything just is, right? Something is happening. This is it. I'm feeling very high, by the way, and I didn't take any mushrooms or any CBD oil or anything else. There's just some sort of energy here that's interacting with whatever I think I am, and I'm feeling high as a kite. So,
And, and I just add one last word to Andrew about CBD. My wife takes that to help sleep. Whatever it is, it really seems to help.
Thank you. I will try it. I saw Rona's comment also about topical CBD. I'm going to go out and buy some. Thanks
Actually,
again.
they're good tasting gummies.
I'll get some.
Richard Donnelly.
Morning, everyone. I hope I didn't miss too much this morning, but what I'm picking up from the conversation is a couple of things were mentioned that resonated with me. How to be truly helpful to others that are close to you that are suffering or could be suffering. And I recognize the challenge that presents because I'm going through that right now. And all I can do is I'm afraid if I get in the way, I will mess things up. We're both poor students, and so therefore that really helps. And she's doing excellent. I mean, very well, mentally and physically with the treatments. And but I'm so how can I be truly helpful? Yeah, I can't heal her physically or mentally. That's her job, and so that brought me back to the original topic. I seem to think the original topic was about projection, or what do you do when you project something onto others and they reject it? And rejection has been one of my greatest lessons. And I took me many years to deal with it. My father died when I was 5. My mother died when I was 29. My 2 younger sisters died when I was in my 40s. And so, and then I had 3 women divorce me. So I've dealt with a lot of rejection in my life, at least the feeling of being rejected. And so that all ties into what I think I heard, and the conversation is about the other. And we all know there is no other. There's only one. So when we see another, what I'm believing, I'm seeing myself. I'm manifesting as another. So it's all me. So when I see someone suffer, I'm suffering. When I see someone happy, I'm happy. And if I can keep up with that and not identify myself as a separate self, Richard, but see myself as everything that is, I think I'll be able to finally get a handle on this whole thing. But Richard isn't doing anything. Richard's just sitting back and letting it all happen in love and light. And whenever I'm not feeling that, I stepped away from my true self and identified myself as a separate self again. And I'm opening myself up to more rejection and more suffering. So it's better if I just say, everything is what it is. I'm everything, and everything is a lesson for me to learn. Whether it be love or rejection or whatever it is, it's all for me. So, and all for us because we're all one. Love you all. Hope I didn't go too far off the subject this morning.
My sense is the only subject we ever talk about now is only love is real. So everything is love or a block to our perception of love. Everything else is just ways of coming back to that. Who else is going to share? Watching the chat. I'm good.
Chair.
I'll go, Sandra, please.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. I like just taking a minute to look at you and your smiles. This lesson is just the part that resonates so much is I am safe. I am completely and totally safe and cared for. And there is something about being a woman and safety. So I am the wife of you four gentlemen who has been in pain for 15 years as a result of Lyme disease, which was not caught in time to totally eradicate it. So I have chronic Lyme disease. And I was thinking of you, and I was thinking what came in for me was how blessed your wives are, that you care for them, that you love them. And I know with my husband, he's been trying to fix me for a long time, even before Lyme disease. And I think there is this, I too have the feeling of wanting to make things better in the world, in the body. And yet now I found my greatest relief comes through full acceptance. Yes, there are things to do, ways to mitigate the physical symptoms. But I guess what I wanted to share the most was I am so, and I'm so grateful for this man in my life who cares so much for me and makes me feel safe and not alone. And those are the biggest gifts rather than the trying to change anything about the situation. I don't know if I'm making sense here, but that's just knowing that I'm not in this alone. I'm completely safe. I'm loved. And for me personally, and I don't know if this would be true for anyone else, I am a student of the course. I'm a student of Dr. Hawkins. And I find that when I look at the body and the symptoms as sensations, and I don't call it pain, anymore, call it sensations, I can somewhat detach from it and just rest in the safety and the knowledge of who I truly am. And I can have peace, and I do have peace and a full life. So I love that this particular lesson is a part of a section in the course called What is the World? And the section points out that our eyes deceives and our ears hear falsely. Our eyes deceive and ears hear falsely. I would think even the body feels falsely. And it also says that the world symbolizes fear. I think it's the fear of the pain that drove me to so many doctors and so many treatments and so many disappointments that they didn't work. When I stopped fearing it, it changes. I'm not afraid anymore of anything that I encounter in the world. I'm happy that I'm not afraid of it anymore. I remember when I used to study the Bible, it seemed like the thing that Jesus was saying every other word, do not fear, don't be afraid. And I think that's what this lesson's about. Like, just be at peace. There's nothing to be afraid of. And so what I try to do is bring that peace to my husband so that he's not afraid and he isn't all worried about me. And we hobble along together. I love that it says in here that when we are in peace and we recognize the love we have, I think it's in the last paragraph here, we recognize ourselves and then we radiate that to others. So the best thing, that's why I like being here, because Cindy radiates that peace and that love to us, and all of you radiate that. That's my best balm. That's the balm for my soul. And this is all temporary anyway. It's going to be, I'm so aware that it's so quick. So thanks for listening. I love you guys.
Love you more. Nadego loves being here. I got an email I opened this morning that just said that. Yeah. You can unmute, sweetheart.
Hi, everyone. So amazing to be here. I do love being here so much. It's been really, I've been in so much pain, physical pain for, I think, 2 days from my car accident. I think it was 10, 20, 30 years ago. And it's actually been amazing because I've just surrendered. I just stopped. I just stopped. And I'm just letting everything just be whatever it is. I'm just done. I am just done. I'm just done. And it's just so beautiful, honestly. It's like, and I'm just loving everything. I'm seeing everything differently now. Like, I'm seeing my orange differently. I'm seeing everything like new because I just let go. And I don't even know how to say it. I don't. And I'm just letting everything just be what I haven't done my back movement now for 1, 2, 3 days, and I've been in so much pain that I let that go too. I have no, I'm not. That's not true. I have been doing it, but I just I just let it just be whatever it is, and let myself not sleep if I don't sleep. I've just surrendered, um, and it's just so beautiful, honestly. So, and I just love being here with all of you so much. So, and that's all I have to say. So
Love you, Nadega.
thank you so much, everyone. Just such a gift to be here.
David.
Listening to other folks talk about, apparently it's so interesting. The husbands talking about their wives and their pains, and then Sandra talking about it. My wife had survived really awful, nasty cancer, and she doesn't have cancer anymore. At least what's left of her doesn't have any cancer. There's not much. There's a lot. It isn't left in her. But what will happen is that she still has the way she lives her life is changed because of the cancer, and things don't work as well, and she has all these issues, and I get so fearful about it. And so and I let myself get into this trap, but I don't know if it's selfish. Maybe I don't want to feel the fear, so I'm always trying to fix her, and I'm try this and try that. Have you tried this? And you know, and so what we have am now realizing today is that you know I rather I spend this time when she's having her problem in fear rather than in love. In other words, at least too much of me is in fear. And she probably feels that. I mean, how could she not be aware of that? That instead of just accepting what is and loving her, and these things just happen, and loving her anyway, I spend a lot of energy or worry trying to make it go away. And like I say, I think that's because at least part of it, so I won't have to be afraid for myself, not necessarily for her. I'm afraid for her too, but I'm also a big chunk of that is afraid of myself. What am I going to do without her? What if she dies? How am I going to survive? And so on and so on. And so now I'm realizing and becoming more aware of what I'm up to, what I'm doing, and how, and how I can do better. In other words, if I just love and support her, and that's all I need to do, because there's nothing more that I can do rather than the way I've tried to deal with it. Things will be a lot better. She won't feel any better physically, but she'll sure feel probably a lot better mentally or psychologically because of the way I'm offering support. And so I think here's another lesson learned today. That's why I come to these things to learn stuff. And I sure learned, here's another big one I learned today. So thank you all for being my teachers. And that's
Thank
it.
you, Dave. William.
Well, David, thank you. You just remind me again that when I'm trying to help her in it, because I'm scared, it's just that I'm putting another load on her. Now you got to deal with your own pain, physical, but you have to deal with my pain too, my physical, my fear. So it's like, wow, what a crazy way to try to help someone. Here, would you take this and carry this so I don't have to? So just a reminder, come home, come home, come home. Be with, be with. And I see it as such, It's like things do open up inside if I'm willing to look here instead of out there. And here meaning everything. I like what Richard said. I like everything what he said. And it's okay if they're just words, more words, but they help point to a truth, to a truth, to a truth. Thank you.
Thank you. I am inspired to read this lesson again. And I apologize that I didn't communicate that
What
it's lesson
page are you actually on? I'd love to follow.
1419 in the purple book. It's lesson 245. Your peace is with me, Father. I am safe. Your peace surrounds me, Father. Wherever I go, your peace goes there with me. It sheds its light on everyone I meet. I bring it to the desolate and lonely and afraid. I give your peace to those who suffer pain or grieve for loss or think they are bereft of hope and happiness. Send me to them, my Father. Let me bring your peace with me, for I would save your Son as is your will, that I may come to recognize myself. And so we go in peace. To all the world we give the message that we have received. And thus we come to hear the voice of God, who speaks to us as we relate his word, whose love we recognize because we share the word that he has given unto us. And then the message I received, I choose to read again. For when we sit in this and agree to this, and then those that are in our space do or say things that create pain in us. This is what I received this morning. Expectation of others to behave a certain way will always result in some version of contraction. It's flowing, believing attention that I need to go outside of self to be okay. God is always here. The peace of God is always here. And when we choose to trust in that, we become in service to that, which means those aspects, beings, dream characters, which was written specifically for Richard, by the way, the term dream character, seemingly suffering that show up on our doorstep are attracted by God's peace, the peace that we are choosing to embody and express. And those moments where we notice we are being affected by their behavior or their pain, which comes from clinging to an identification as other than God, it's a signal to us to turn back into the peace of God that always surrounds. And as we soften and feel it, we allow for the wounded pieces here in us to heal. It becomes a cycle of healing and growth, and it becomes easier and easier the more we practice. And so it is. Amen. Sealed in faith, trust, and truth. Richard.
What has really helped me in the last year is that word trust. One of the things I post on my Facebook page every month is the 10 characters of advanced teachers of God. And the first principle is trust. And I realized when I experienced the fear of losing someone who I assumed because they were 14 years younger than me was going to be my caretaker as I grew old, that fear rose up in me. And I realized if I really trusted what I was believing in the Course, I wouldn't have fear because I wouldn't be fearful of anything in the dream. And so I had to realize I was not being very true to myself. Obviously, I have fear thoughts in my mind and need to be ill. And I really had to know some trust, but not enough trust to face whatever I'm facing in my experience as okay. I'm okay. Regardless of what happens in the dream, I'm okay because the Course tells me I'm perfect. I'm the innocent Son of God. I am the light of the world. I am everything that is. So why would I not trust that and be at peace rather than be fearful that because I don't trust that? So I find that be very helpful. I'm a work in progress, as all of us are, but it seems to be helping me as I go forward in my dream character.
Oh man, I'm wonderstruck by the energy in this space and in this meeting, and I'm just in love with us all. That was 1419 Nadigo, and I'm gonna stop the recording button. Here we go.
And I just want to say one word to you, Cindy. I just get such a open receptivity and love coming out of me back to you. And that's just what I resonate with. So thank you for just being a leader and a follower and whatever you are. Thank you.
Thank you.
I second that. Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Cindy. Cindy, I've been after we've gone through what we've gone through today, and folks, talking about their loved one or themselves, or and I the poem "She Let Go." I'm sure I don't know if you're familiar with that or not. You probably are. I need to read that today. Can I read that?
It's still recording, so you go for it, and as soon as you're done, I'm gonna stop the recording.
All right. All right, this is by Sapphire Rose, and she's a poet, and you can find her on the internet. She's everywhere. She let go. She let go. Without a thought or a word, she let go. She let go of the fear. She let go of the judgments. She let go of the confluence of opinions swarming around her head. She let go of the committee of indecision within her. She let go of all the right reasons. Wholly and completely, without hesitation or worry, she just let go. She didn't ask anyone for advice. She didn't read a book on how to let go. She didn't search the scriptures. She just let go. She let go of all the memories that held her back. She let go of all the anxiety that kept her from moving forward. She let go of the planning and all of the calculations about how to do it just right. She didn't promise to let go. She didn't journal about it. She didn't write a projected date in her daytimer. She made no public announcement and put no ad in the paper. She didn't check the weather report or read her daily horoscope. She just let go. She didn't analyze whether she should let go. She didn't call her friends to discuss the matter. She didn't do a 5-step spiritual mind treatment. She didn't call the prayer line. She didn't utter one word. She just let go. And no one was around when it happened. There was no applause or congratulations. No one thanked her or praised her. No one noticed a thing. Like a leaf falling from a tree, she just let go. There was no effort. There was no struggle. It wasn't good and it wasn't bad. It was what it was, and it is just that. In the space of letting go, she let it all be. A small smile came over her face. A light breeze blew through her. and the sun and the moon shone forevermore. That's just so awesome. I'm here. I am going to cry again. I haven't cried for 80 years, but I can't stop now these days. It's a really good feeling, but it's so weird. So, and then I noticed there's a line of this song about the Carrie Newcomer song. The leaves don't fall, they just let go. And so it's a whole bunch of letting go these days. And so thank you for listening, everybody. I just thought this is something we needed to hear.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to let go now and say goodbye to